this is your girl Kay, and welcome to Escaping Delusion. Today we're going to be talking about a hot topic. Pretty much, should paternity tests be normalized? So I came across this video on pretty much whatever clips or whatever, and it's pretty much they're debating should paternity tests be mandatory. So I'm gonna watch it. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm gonna watch it and give my reaction. And after we get finished watching it, I will give my opinion on the matter. Hey, without further ado, let's go.
Ladies, do you think mandatory paternity testing would hurt or help women in today's society? Do you want to stay for this question and then?
Somebody's already leaving.
Okay. Ladies, do you think mandatory paternity testing would hurt or help women in today's society?
I don't know. I feel like that's such a broad question because I feel like in some ways it could be harmful, but in other ways I think overall it would be.
How is that a broad question? Really, pretty much a yes or no. It sounds like a yes or no question to me, but hey, let's keep going.
Helpful in terms of, child support and knowing it, but it's like, that's odd because it's like, what's the circumstances? Is it just like for every birth there's a paternity test?
Yeah.
In what ways would that be harmful?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Just like, because like, it's like the person is an abuser, someone who's like, doesn't necessarily, they don't want to be tied to the person.
Well, I mean, if
That's-
it's that
Yeah, but
person's-
do you have a right to hide paternity based on the fact that the other person's abusive?
I mean, I would want to do anything to get out of it.
You think so?
I do, just because if you're abusive to me, what do you do to the child?
Yeah.
That doesn't, okay, listen, you don't have a right to hide the paternity from a father based on
Okay, you know what? Before we before we get to his portion, instead of just answering the question, these women decided to deflect and come up with a scenario that has absolutely a far-fetched scenario. That is if this is paternity. When a person wants to know paternity, it's basically just wanting to know if it's mine or not. The court will decide if the person is abusive. That's after the fact. We're just trying to figure out paternity. That's it. And these women are coming up with 15,000 different scenarios already. All right, y'all, let's go ahead. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and get finished.
upon whatever your analysis is of abuse. I've heard things as ridiculous as this. Emotionally abusive,
yeah,
which means nothing. It means nothing.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, it's not.
No, it's not
it's
crazy.
not. Because
Emotional abuse is nothing.
Yeah, it means nothing. It's
it means
a subjective
nothing. It's
analysis.
subjective. It's subjective.
Wow. That's an interesting.
Well, listen, it is subjective. Give me an objective standard for what's
I don't think
emotional
that's
abuse.
subjective in the terms of psychology at all.
Yeah, it is. It's most subjective.
Exactly.
It's a subjective analysis. So like, let me give you an example. I can give you a really easy one. Okay. Let's say that you're going out and you're overspending from my perspective. Like, let's say I'm married to a woman. I say, listen, you're overspending. Okay. And you say, well, listen, I really need to spend this because I need X, Y, and Z for the household. You think the paper towel holder and this and that is very important. Maybe it is. Maybe it is important. And I think it isn't. So I go and I cut off your access to that threshold of money and give you a lesser threshold of money that I think is appropriate and you don't think is appropriate. Is that abuse?
In that specific scenario, there's just like several factors to whether or not something is or isn't financial abuse.
Because it's subjective. That's why.
And it's predicated on how the woman feels.
Wait, hold on.
Because
Hold on. Go ahead.
And it's predicated on how the woman feels.
You guys, I gotta stop for a second. I'm trying to figure out. You guys, I'm literally trying my best to figure out how do we get from a simple yes or no question to abuse, emotional abuse, to, you guys, this is called classic deflection. This is, if you want to know what a narcissist, how a narcissist handles questions that they don't agree with, instead of just saying yes or no, because based on her explanation, it's obvious that she wanted to say, no, I don't feel like paternity should be mandatory. But she knows logically it doesn't make sense. So instead of just straight up admitting defeat, she comes up with this roundabout scenario to try to justify her mindset. That is what narcissists do. I don't know her personally. I'm not saying that she's a narcissist, but these are some narcissistic tendencies. They tend to deflect or go around the situation versus just facing it head on and just saying it is what it is or what it ain't. Okay. All right. We're going to get finished, but my patience is running thin. I really just want to know the answer versus all of these different 15,000 scenarios. All right, let's go.
It's about what you said. Like, a lot of women just don't take kindly to being criticized at all. They don't take kindly to a guy. Yeah. Even if a guy gets moderately upset and he raises his tone a little bit, you have women who will consider that emotional abuse. That's not emotional.
But I mean, to me, emotional abuse is like verbally saying really degrading, horrible things, and like a systemic thing over systemic thing over time. Excuse me. And so, I mean, like, yeah, maybe I didn't initially understand the point you were trying to make with the suggestive, because subjective. Sorry, I'm stuttering really bad.
That's okay. Yeah, no problem.
But in terms of emotional abuse being a factor, I think is important, though it is suggestive.
So subjective.
Thank you, subjective. Yeah. Even though it is subjective, it is something that, I mean, has long-standing effects on both parent and child. But when my initial point, I was thinking more so abuse of the other aspects, because emotional is, it is impactful, but it's not as dangerous to like the health of the child versus the other ones.
So let's move into, okay, if fair enough, you say, okay, when it comes to this, it's subjective, so maybe we wouldn't hide paternity on that. But if we move over to physical abuse, let's say, right, you think that that's cut and dry. Well, what if this guy, he's convicted of physically abusing the mom? Then shouldn't we be able to hide paternity? And she says, yeah. I still say no, and here's why. Because plenty of people get accused of doing domestic violence or doing things like this, and they haven't actually done it. And so we're going to yield to the word of the woman in this case. And
Johnny Depp, Jonathan Myers. I mean, not Jonathan Myers, Jonathan Majors. These are just two examples of those type of men who were falsely accused. I mean, the crazy thing is the Jonathan Majors case, they even have video of him running from the girl. Now, that's a whole nother topic for another day, but I've never in my life seen somebody get found guilty for trying to retrieve their device that was being taken from them. It's actually a law, people. If somebody is actively taking your stuff, you have the right to retrieve it. You do. Now, if that person is being belligerent, being crazy, hitting you, because remember the witness, the driver, said that she was the aggressor. She was the aggressor. He got his phone and he ran. He got his phone, tried to put her back, so she wouldn't follow him. It wasn't working, so he ran. But he was found guilty. I mean, poor Johnny Depp. Poor Johnny Depp. Amber Heard put him through it. She said all kind of stuff. And it turns out she was the abuser. Cut the man finger and everything. But I digress. He has a great point. Women, The worst thing that could have ever happened was this notion to believe all women. Just because she says it happened does not mean it actually happened. I'm telling you, you have some nasty, vindictive people out there that will literally lie to get their way. They will do anything to get their way. But I digress. Let's continue.
Hide the paternity of that man's child for something which could easily be a falsehood. That's immoral to the utmost in my worldview.
Okay, and I see that, but for me, it's like, if you're talking about a mandated paternity test, then at that point, that's the government getting involved in between the relationship and the personal affairs of people. And I am the kind of person
they do
that
it for
prefers to step off
child
of
support, so why
unnecessary,
not?
like, government
Wait,
control.
You're a communist. You want the government involved in the lie that literally every single aspect.
Who the hell said I was a communist?
You did.
When?
Didn't you earlier? Didn't
No,
you say
you.
were a
I was talking
communist?
about capitalism, and you said the word communism when that word never left my mouth.
So socialism?
I mean, first, I'm not really here to debate how politics.
Okay, I'm just asking this.
I keep on talking about
Are you a
dating.
socialist?
I mean, I consider myself a leftist.
Okay, yeah. You don't care if government's involved in your life for all kinds of stuff. Wait, did you care if the government was involved in my life when there were certain mandates going on around? You didn't give a shit. But now suddenly you care about. Now suddenly
I didn't give a
you
shit
care
about
about
what mandate.
this.
Hold on.
I can't get into that.
Let's not get into it. But
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do now. Yes.
Yeah.
But
wait, I have a question. You said when it comes to you wouldn't want the government involved with mandatory paternity
like
testing.
over people's
But-
autonomy.
But let me ask you a question. Let's say, do you want kids one day?
No.
Oh, okay.
Thank God.
So this isn't honestly for
Okay.
me. This
Thank
is just
God.
like a thing that I don't really want to do.
Hold
I
on.
mean, that was kind of an asshole move, but
Let's keep
that
it
was
nice.
a real asshole move.
Yeah, let's keep it nice, guys. Let's keep it nice, okay?
Because some people are smart.
What makes a carnival vacation fun?
You guys, you guys. So, just to put it in context, when a lot of people consider themselves a leftist, they basically are saying that they're liberal or Democrat or whatever the case may be. Now, so she's saying that she does not believe. She was saying she believes in control over autonomy, but it's hypocrisy, and that's what he was trying to call her out on. And the reason it's hypocrisy because you can't say you want control over autonomy. You can't say my body, my choice, but then at the same time, you were in that same group that was agreeing with mandatory jabs, mandatory, because if it really truthfully is my body, my choice, then it should apply across the board, right? So basically he was trying to call her out on her hypocrisy, and I guess she was getting upset because she was getting found out on it. Okay. Which remember earlier in this video I called it, I said you can clearly tell what her answer really is, but instead of her just giving the answer, she decides to go about this in a roundabout way. And because she can't debate her way out of it, she's getting upset and she's getting angry. So yeah, let's go ahead and get finished here. Get through this commercial skip here.
Enough to know what's best for them, and for me in my life,
Okay.
I don't want to have children.
Just let me ask the question, okay?
But I would, if I wanted to,
Okay.
be a good mother.
Okay. So my question is though, do you think you said you wouldn't want the government involved when it comes to paternity testing, whatever? So are you not in favor of child support? Women receiving
Right.
child support, for example.
So I believe that whoever has the child should have support from the other partner, regardless of their gender. I
What?
think that if a single father
What is
has
gender?
the full custody of the child, which which is enforced by the courts.
The state government.
But
Yeah.
you said you don't want the government involved with mandatory paternity testing. So I'm just confused. But
Well, I mean, look, the government has its role. All right, the government has its role, and I don't. I mean, at the end of the day,
but you do realize that, like, for example, in a child support dispute, that the government would actually require if the man
yes, and then that's the
disputes
case
paternity.
like his basis, but when you're putting in a mandated paternity test, then that is adding a complicated layer of paperwork and testing.
No, it's just literally you're already in the hospital. It's actually the perfect scenario to.
But like,
have
does that
paternity.
apply to
really
married? Here's my further questions: is like, does that apply to married couples or couples that are still together,
Yeah.
or are okay?
Yeah, everybody.
Okay.
Lottie-dottie,
Here, let's
everybody.
just go around the table. So anybody
literally
can answer
everybody.
this. Do you think mandatory paternity testing would hurt or help women in today's society?
Would mandatory paternity tests hurt or help women?
In today's
Or
society,
just be good?
that's one of the super chat questions.
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have any children, but I don't see why it would be a problem.
Okay, Madison.
I feel like with the way, not all women, but a majority of women are moving nowadays, like it could be very harmful to their children and the
Wait,
man.
What would be harmful?
Paternity testing, like if they found out the child's dad was not the guy that she was with, like that would be breaking their family apart.
From a mandatory place. I mean, I see your point.
I don't.
What about the truth?
No, I think the truth is great. I think, yeah, no.
Y'all, I gotta pause here. Okay. I gotta pause here. That's why he's arguing that it should be done there at the hospital at birth. I'm guessing to avoid all of that, to avoid all of, once the child becomes older and the child is aware of what's going on, to avoid the confusion in the future. So I see what he's saying, let's just let her get finished, because I'm trying to understand her. I'm trying my best to understand her point. Like, I understand it, but I'm trying to digest it. Let's just keep going.
Absolutely, everyone should know the truth, but I think it's going to be terrible for the children if the truth is
so
revealed.
you're in favor.
That's what
are
I'm
you in
saying.
Favor
With the way a lot
testing?
of women are moving nowadays, they're like a lot of children aren't going to be having dads anymore.
So it would be bad for women, but you don't object to paternity testing.
No, not at all.
Okay.
I'm for it.
So you acknowledge. Okay, I see.
Okay.
Are you in favor of that, Andrew? It sounds like.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that the rates of paternity, which are lied about, is wildly understated. Wildly understated. And yeah, absolutely. I think that if mandatory paternity testing was done, there would be significant problems for women, but the kind of problems that I think they should see, which is responsibility. Forever inside human society, men did not have this.
Right.
We've never had the luxury of we had to always take the word of the woman as to paternity.
All right, just to pause right there, and I'll make sure this video that I'm watching currently, I'll make sure to have the link posted down in the description. But just to pause right there, paternity became widespread, like everybody could get a paternity test. That didn't become a thing until 1986. 1986. Paternity testing being widely available and at least 99% accurate did not become a thing until 1986, you guys. I'll make sure to put that link down there too, so you can go and actually see the information on that when it actually got started. They did come out with some paternity tests before 1986, but it wasn't accurate. So it wasn't used across the board, or you couldn't go to the court and get it court ordered. But it became an actual thing. They actually were able to have an accurate test, have the courts be able to push it in 1986. So he's right. For the longest, this wasn't something that was widely available. So you think about from 1986 on back, ain't, you know, I'll just say it to you like this. It's this show on PBS where they call it's Tracing Your Roots, Finding Your Roots. People like Niecy Nash, Tamara Housley, a lot of different people, celebrities, Sierra, have already been on this show. And a few of them, Niecy Nash is one of them. A few of them, oh, and Sierra too. A few of them have already found out that granddaddy wasn't really granddaddy. Yeah. Grandma might have said that's your granddaddy. You may have built the family tree and everything, but then it come to find out the DNA ain't lining up. Yeah. So this is a real thing. This is a real situation, you guys. This is a real hot topic. So let's go ahead and keep watching.
We don't have to do that now, and we absolutely shouldn't do it now. And even if it's not mandatory, everybody should get one no matter what.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Period.
And just
course. And I have 100. I have what I would consider 100% faith and trust in my wife.
Mm-hmm.
But I told her.
Well, also,
I told her these words exactly. You're gonna get the fucking test, and if not, I'm out the door. Period.
well, also,
and that's not emotional abuse.
yeah. Well, there also
that would be considered emotional abuse. Exactly.
That was not 100% trust and faith. I think it's your prerogative to do that. But
okay. Well,
It's not for her. It's for me.
yeah. Well, it's also there are also cases where like the hospital will jumble up babies.
no, it's not.
It's as much
100%
trust
faith
as I
is
can give
of
you.
Trust.
As much trust as I can get.
Yes, because you can't confirm that. There's no way for a man to confirm it.
That's not trust.
Well, but where's the trust back the other way? Just being like, okay, yeah, no problem.
Wait, Andrew.
If there was ever any
yeah,
resistance,
that's how that works. That's how trust works.
Yeah.
What is the like? What's the pitch to like? How would you say that? Because I feel like if I were to say that to a girl, I could see her like my wife or when I'm having kids.
What could she? What possible argument could a woman have towards asking you to get a paternity test other than it makes her feel bad?
She's unfaithful.
Or like you don't trust.
Other than it makes her feel bad, what could the argument possibly be? Give me a single argument other than because it makes me feel bad. I want to hear it.
But why consider that New Year's
these
resolutions are not
ads.
the answer for you this year? You need real solutions and therapy.
Why would you want to make her feel bad?
So that's I feel bad.
If you're worried that she'd be cheating on you, why would you want to?
So that's I feel bad. It's I feel bad.
I think we don't have a strong foundation. Sorry.
That's I feel bad.
No, it's not. I'm saying we don't have a strong foundation.
Why would that matter if it didn't make one of them feel bad?
Because she could say, like, if we don't have a strong foundation of trust and faith.
Because it makes her
No,
feel
she
bad.
could feel neutral about it and still be like, oh, okay,
Feel.
So wait a second.
and maybe
she feels
he's
neutral?
gonna be constantly.
OMG. It's clear they're not understanding each other. It's clear he's speaking one language and she's speaking another one, and it's not. Neither one of them is getting it. And the reason I say neither one of them is getting it, she's not understanding that emotionalism has no place when it comes to facts. It's the facts, and that's that. Your feelings don't matter, okay? And he's not understanding that no matter how much he keeps calling her out on the fact that she's thinking about feelings and not the actual facts, she's not gonna get it. Like at this point, after she kept coming back with emotionalism about 15,000 times, I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna let you live in your world. Common sense ain't common for everybody, people. It's no point of getting in your. It's no point of allowing somebody to test your patience when you clearly see that they don't have common sense. Common sense is not common for everybody. It really ain't. It really ain't. But let's keep going.
She feels neutral about it. If she feels neutral about it, if she feels neutral about it, who cares?
Finish your point.
Say your point.
If she feels neutral about it, then who cares?
I'm saying if you don't have trust in a relationship, typically that will lead to a bad relationship, regardless if the parties in the relationship feel bad about it or not. That was my only point.
Yeah, but that's the only argument is feel bad.
No, it's not. I literally said it doesn't matter if they feel bad or
Because
not. She
one
can
of them-
object and say clearly we don't have a strong foundation.
Donated $200.
Oh, nice.
Love your hair, Maddie. GL with your marriage.
Brian, love the Andrew Marathon. Shout out Crucible.
Yo, go sub this
Fire as
Crucible.
my wife. KTHX.
Okay, thanks. Yo, bro, man, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Welcome. Good to see you back in the chat, man. Go ahead, Farah, with your point.
I completed it.
Yeah, so
Oh, she completed it.
the only reason that the trust variable is there is because it would make one feel bad over the other. That's it.
I don't know
So
if
the
that's
only
true.
argument you would make for the trust is, you don't trust me, and that what, Farah? You don't trust me, and that makes me.
But it doesn't have to make you feel bad.
I-
to
then why would it
literally
matter?
just
Why would it
the
matter?
basis of a relationship.
It's a foundation relationship.
Because if it's not, and why is it a
Okay,
foundation?
what about this?
It's how based on
Maybe
how
you don't
people
care or
feel.
not. You're completely apathetic to whether your wife cheats on you, but maybe you still don't want her to do that, even if you have no emotional reaction to it, because you think that creates an unstable foundation for a relationship.
Then
Even if you're completely apathetic and maybe you're a cuck and you get
then
off
why
to
would you
it.
care about the paternity test? How would that be an argument if
Well,
it's just a neutral?
You were saying, what is an objection to
Right,
your
Yeah, but
your
how
boyfriend
would that
asking
be
you
an
for a
objective?
paternity test? And
Yeah.
I'm saying you could say, we're missing an important tenet of our relationship, an important pillar that isn't contingent on me feeling good or bad about it. That was my only point.
Then if you don't feel good or bad about it, why would it be an important pillar?
you guys, I can't watch anymore. I feel like I'm losing brain cells watching this. I can't. What I mean by that is, I just don't I cannot comprehend why they just can't give a yes or no answer with a logical, not an emotional, but with a logical reason as to why. You guys, let me tell you how society gets us caught up. And you can see this in the news, you can see this in media everywhere. You want to know how they get us caught up? They get us caught up by using our emotions against us. Real journalism back in the day used to be, and just so you guys know, to give you some background on me or whatever, I have my degree in English. I was actually going to go to law school. I ended up going to the military instead. We'll give you my background and my story another day. But I was actually going to go to become a lawyer. I did an internship at Bird Law Firm back in the day when I was in college. And throughout my career or whatever, I actually I did the military as well. I was a reservist, deployed and all that good stuff. And on the civilian side, I was a damage adjuster. And pretty much I wrote contracts and stuff all day, like just legal stuff all day. And when it comes to reporting or when it comes to writing facts, it has no place for emotionalism. So even journalism back in the day used to be the facts. Like, for example, you know how the case where just down here at the border, they arrested, just down here at the border, they not arrested, but a woman and two kids drowned, right? Now, in the media, they say it as a mother and her two children drowned in the border report, the Texas National Guard didn't allow Border Patrol to intervene. But those are not the facts. They put it out there like that to stir up your emotions, right? Because in reality, the facts are a woman and two children, because we don't know if those were her kids. Why don't we know that? She's not a citizen. We weren't, and this is just, I'm talking about the Border Patrol and the Texas National Guard. We were not able to go and review the body or look at the body or get any paperwork on the body, the people who drowned. Reason being, they're not citizens. Also, another reason being, it was in Mexican soil. The Mexican police for that town where it happened, they retrieved the bodies. Okay? So we wouldn't even have that pertinent information. It could have been an auntie and her two kids, or it could have been a woman who was walking, saw these two kids or whatever, and decided to take them with her. We don't know the full spectrum, but they use all these trigger words. And then they also say, okay, well, this person didn't, this group didn't allow this group to come and get the body, when in reality the lady and the kids had already drowned before Border Patrol even got there. Mexican police were already handling it, but they reported the story using emotionalism tactics to get you in your feelings so that you can be on their side. Okay, so it's a tactic that's used as old as time. Instead of just giving straight facts so you can have a logical debate, they'll come up with all these different situations to trigger your emotions. So if you feel bad about the situation, you'll be more amped to be on their side versus the logical side. All right. Now, with all that being said, I'm going to tell you my opinion. Yeah, it should be mandatory. And this is coming from a woman that's married with 2 kids. It should be mandatory. If my husband wanted to right now, and I even told him this, if he wanted to right now get a test on both our sons, I would give it to him hands down. Reason being, that's his right. We know for a fact they're mine because he saw them come out of my belly. He saw me carry those 2 kids for 9 months each. He was there in the room when I had to have the C-sections. Okay? So he knows, we all know, based on the fact that I carried that child, we know for a fact that it's my child. But yeah, he knows that I'm faithful in everything, but he doesn't know if there was, if there was a slip up or whatever. Now, even though I've never cheated, for his mind's sake, for his peace of mind, for him to know factually without a shadow of a doubt, because he did not carry the kids physically, I did. So in order for him to know without a shadow of a doubt, he would want a test, okay? He would have to get a test to know for a fact, without a shadow of a doubt, that they are his kids. And there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like that's fair, because I'm going to make sure I put the links for all of this information that I'm giving you guys, because they just found out recently. They did a report back in 2023, and they found that 33% of paternity cases were found to be fraudulent, meaning that out of all of those men who were put on, who were made to pay, what do they call it, child support? Yeah. Out of all those men who were made to pay child support of last year, they found 33% of those cases were fraudulent, meaning that 33% of the men who were put on child support, for kids that weren't even theirs. 33%, not 1%, 2%, 3%, but 33% of men are paying child support for kids that don't belong to them. That's a problem. That's a problem. It is. Whether people want to accept it or not, it's a problem. And, I think over time we got so focused on women's rights, and we got so focused on the Me Too and Believe Women and this, that we forgot about the men. What about the men? What about men's rights? And the reason I feel so passionately about this, I have 2 sons. And I am scared for when they become adults, what type of women they're going to have to choose from. I'm looking at this panel of women, and it is scary. And they expect each generation to just keep getting worse. It's scary, y'all. It's scary. And my fear is that my kids would get caught up in the mess. My fear is based on the modern woman, or the caliber of women that they have to choose from, that they can end up with a harlot. A harlot in disguise. That's what I call it. A harlot in disguise. You want to know what a harlot in disguise is? It's a woman that just out there loose, all willy-nilly, but then she knows how to make herself look like a lady during the day. she knows how to fool you. That's my fear. That is my absolute fear. And just hearing these women talk is crazy. It's like, where do they find these caliber of women? Where do they find these women? But yes, it should be mandatory. It should be mandatory. Because we've all seen the cases where the men end up going to jail, and then he gets out of jail. They go to court. They do the paternity test. Come to find out, it's not his. And then they ask, well, do you know who the father is? Do you know? Well, since it ain't him, do you possibly know who the father is? Yeah, I know who it is. I know who to tell. So you mean to tell me you lied on this one guy? You know who it is, right? You lied on this dude, and he done went to jail. You done ran his name through the mud. Women that do stuff like that, they need to go to jail. If you are caught lying, and this man, now all of a sudden the court's after him, they putting him in jail over back child support and all this other stuff. Yeah. If it come to find out that he was innocent the entire time, guess who needs to go to jail? Guess who needs to pay restitution? The woman. She needs to be under the jail. And then, do you know how selfish and narcissistic it is to think about only yourself? Because you're not thinking about the kid. There's no way you're thinking about the child. Because if you were thinking about the child, you would know that you owe it to that child to let them know who their parents are. That child has a right to know who their father is. That father of that child has a right to be involved in that child's life. Because not only are you lying to the kid and they don't really know who they identify with, you're also robbing that father the opportunity to be in their child's life. All because you made a bad decision. Well, he got more money. Well, he's more responsible. Well, I like where he lives. I like his job or whatever. So I'm just going to put the responsibility on him. Even though we know Joe Smo over here is the dad. But I don't really care for him like that. I don't want to deal with him. So I'm just going to lie on this man. I'm going to get him caught up. You know how shicey it is. So yes, I don't care what reasoning, what excuses these women came up with. It should absolutely 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, lottie-dottie across the board, be mandatory. And that's my take on that. Well, now that that's over with, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'm in the midst of setting up a Instagram and a TikTok channel or whatever. So I'm still getting the ropes of everything, but definitely spread the word. Give you girls some love. Give your opinion in the comment section. Should it be mandatory? Should it not be mandatory? You don't have to agree with me. You know, that's just my take. Everybody has the right to their own opinion. I think that's what makes us beautiful. In this world, everybody is different. So if everyone's different, everybody's going to have their own opinion about these matters. So don't ever feel afraid, or this is a safe place. This channel is a safe place. Don't ever feel afraid to give your opinion, whether you agree with me or not. Okay? Always give your full opinion. Okay? I do believe in the U.S. Constitution. I believe in free speech. I believe in all that good stuff. So definitely, if you don't agree, that's fine. If you do agree, that's fine. Okay? Love you guys. Make sure to stay prayed up. Keep your eyes open. Make sure to escape delusion. Don't let the world keep you asleep. All right? Love you guys. Bye.